Welcome to GearCheckGames. This is part 12 of our commentary for Eco. In the last episode, we made our way back into the castle only to discover that Yorda has become an empty husk. So it's time to get some revenge!
We gotta
revenge! That's what this game is all about.
Yeah.
We gotta go slay her Heartless to make her whole again.
It's all about getting revenge!
Please stop.
Yeah.
We encountered her nobody, and now we have to slay her Heartless.
Well, yeah, there's nobody here.
I am the king now. Look at me. I am the king.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Hey, how come she speaks English?
Well, she doesn't speak English. She speaks,
Not English?
Not Japanese.
She didn't allow Yorda to have a proper education growing up.
Uh-huh. She just had to, like, arrange spiders into, like, letters on the ground.
Yorda made up her own language because she wasn't allowed to go to school.
It was a painful experience, but she learned a lot. So yeah, here's where we find out what the Queen's motivation has been this whole time, which I spoiled in the last episode.
Yeah, which is
Sorry
spoiled.
about that. Yeah.
This is very fairy tale-esque, and I love it.
So she had a kid so that her kid's body could be like the vessel for her to continue existing.
I mean, that's pretty much just what kids are in that's pretty much just reproduction in a nutshell.
Yeah, if you're a terrible parent.
Well, I mean, from like a evolutionary standpoint or whatever. Ouch.
Oh, poor Eco.
We are down one horn.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That kind of like made me do a double take the first time, because there's no other like realistic blood in this game except for this one scene, and I guess one more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Also, Eco literally fell like 500 feet and
Yeah.
didn't take damage.
Yeah.
And now he got slapped so hard that his horn came off.
Yeah, the Queen is not to be trifled with by the looks of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, true to Fumito Ueda's minimalist tendencies, this is our only boss fight in the entire game, and it comes at the very end.
Yeah.
I remember getting to this point when I first played the game and thinking this was kind of strange, just because, well, it felt strange just because there hadn't been any like proper boss fights up until this point, but the way that this is designed and the style of it still does feel germane with the rest of the game, so I'd say it's an appropriate way to close it out.
Oh, I get it. Like, once you hit her once, she absorbs the sword.
Oh,
then
she
she
knocks
shoots
it out
out.
of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, you have to keep, like...
If you couldn't tell, you use the sword to, like, dispel the wave of whatever she's sending at you. But if you don't have the sword, you can't do that.
Yeah, instant death.
Oh.
It's kind of like the, like Taboo from Brawl. He has those giant, like...
Wow, what a way to describe it.
Okay.
She turns Eco into a trophy.
Yeah, everybody... Oh, God.
This reminds me quite a bit of the last Colossi and Shadow of the Colossus, where you have to keep jumping behind cover every time he shoots out his lasers.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar.
Yeah, that is kind of a commonality these games share, is the final boss that you just kind of have to, like, cower from at times.
Yeah. Where the hell did the sword go? Oh.
Yeah.
Good luck getting that.
This is definitely like... I mean, yeah, it is a... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
Oh my
And that
god.
one gives you just barely enough time. Thankfully, the sword has, like, its own little aura around it.
Yeah.
Where if you, like, make it to, like, close to the sword, you'll be okay.
Yeah, this is definitely like, you know... That.
Nice.
More typical boss than... more typical, like, event than maybe the rest of the game in terms of video games. But it still makes you, like, the way it's set up makes you really feel powerless and, like, you just can't do anything unless you have this sword.
Well, yeah, it fits with the rest of the game, too. Like, it's not, like, overdone or, like, overly video gamey. It's just, you know, she has this very simple pattern. Like, she makes a death wave, and you have to hide, and then go up and whack her with your sword.
Jesus.
There goes
So
the
once
other
again,
horn.
Iko just completely gets clocked. But don't worry, he's fine, right? Right? I actually don't know if he's fine.
His brains were in those horns.
I guess so.
He wakes up and he's like got the brain of a 3-year-old.
He wakes up and he can only speak spiders.
Finally, we can understand each other.
Oh god, the ghost boys are back.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is just like something the coffins can do, or if it's something like the spirits in the coffins are doing.
Oh.
But yeah, Yordo is now, she can move again, but she's now a shadow.
Evil, 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 evil,
Which
evil.
I guess
she has
maybe...
become the Heartless.
Maybe... I think in... no, she hasn't been. But in Ueda's games, they kind of... Even in Shadow of the Colossus, they kind of imply that these, like, shadowy characters are, like, spirits or, like, the souls of, like, deceased beings or people.
Yeah.
Because in that game, every time you kill a Colossus and you wake up back in the temple, there's another, like, shadowy figure standing over you to correspond with the number of Colossi that you've killed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yorda is a ghost now.
Ghost.
But thankfully, in Team Ecoland, ghosts can help you escape from the castle.
Oh, now she's the one escorting you out.
Yeah.
It's like poetry.
Yeah.
Dang, where'd she get this strength? Dang,
She's
girl.
always had it. She just didn't believe in herself.
It's like the ruby slippers. Like, Iko had to learn a lesson. So she didn't help him at all.
Okay, they gotta, like, run. This castle is falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Now, one, for the longest time, and still to an extent, you know, I get kind of, like, emotional watching the castle fall apart here just because I love this game so much and I love the art. And it's just kind of inherently sad to, like, watch it all fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But the most recent time that I played this, I kind of had a different reading of this where, like, you can kind of view the castle as, like, a manifestation of the queen. You know, like, her, like, everything in the castle is an attempt by her to, like, keep Yorda trapped and, like, keep Iko from, like, rescuing her daughter.
Yeah.
And so to, like, watch it all crumble and collapse, like, alongside the queen's death, it does kind of give, like, a triumphant feeling, even considering the cost of what we've done here.
I think that's always been the reading that I've gotten from it. That it was like you're watching, like, the prison falling apart to kind of show that the chains are being released or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is a message to all parents out there. Don't be afraid to let your kids grow up.
Yeah, and also don't have a kid just to possess them to attain eternal
To
youth.
possess their body. Nope. You know, maybe the mom from Pokemon was watching GearCheckGames on TV, and that's how she was getting parenting advice. That's something to aspire to. Yeah, I love this song. This is called Eco - You Were There, sung by Lynn Hobday and or Stephen Girardi, I believe.
Why didn't she go with him?
Because she can't leave the castle.
We don't know that. Would you believe the queen?
I think Yorda knows, Trey. But yeah.
But if you leave by boat.
I don't know. Well, yeah, did the queen just assume that, like, she'll only ever try to escape via the bridge, even though there's, like, clearly a boat?
You know, I wonder if she used to... This is, like, kind of far-fetched, but I wonder if she used to be, like, kind of more, like, stronger and more capable or whatever, and more, like, normal-looking, but she, like, tried to leave the castle before on multiple occasions and just kept, like, getting weaker and weaker from it.
Yeah, it took, like, a toll on her body.
Yeah.
Oh, every room is falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Remember this annoying room?
Well, it's gone now. You never have to deal with it again.
Makes me wonder what that kingdom was like before the queen went crazy, though. I bet it was, like, magnificent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that in this game and in... Well, I mean, of course there is in Shadow of the Colossus, because it's, you know, shared universe. Like, there's clearly this ancient civilization that these people are kind of, like, you know, living in the shadow of. The Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh.
So
Name drop for a different game.
Yay.
So, between the 3 games, like, is this the one that's probably the furthest along in the timeline?
You know, I'm not sure because I haven't played The Last Guardian and I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Again, because I don't have a PS4, like the second I do, that's priority number 1. But, yeah, as far as Eco and Shadow of the Colossus goes, like, that game, the ending of that game kind of alludes to the origin of this, like, horned kid superstition. Because the main character of that game, you know, kind of ties into, like, why, you know, the progenitor of this thing might be someone that they look on with, like, fear or shame or whatever.
Yeah. And no one really knows, like, who that girl is that he resurrected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
she looks an awful lot like Yorda.
Well, the villain in Shadow of the Colossus... okay, not the villain. Because, again, that game is also, like, ambiguous, but, you know...
Yeah.
Your first assumption, as with many things in that game, is, you know, incorrect. But it's that, you know, the spirit that's, like, telling you about the Colossi is the villain. Or that they're at least, you know, have an ulterior motive. And they speak with 2 voices, you know, a male voice and a female voice. But after, you know... the climax of that game happens, and the I keep wanting to say... I don't know why I'm trying to talk about this vaguely, but, like, also spoil it rotten. But, like, Dorman in Shadow of the Colossus, you know, when he, like, manifests in that room at the end, he has his male voice only. And then, after all that stuff happens, the girl comes back to life. And one fan theory I've seen that I thought was interesting is that the female part of Dorman's personality went into, you know, the girl from Shadow of the Colossus, and eventually became the queen. Which, again, there's no evidence for that, but, you know, it's an interesting read.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Does Miso Watanabe voice the girl from Shadow of the Colossus?
Well, I don't think she has any lines, but...
yeah.
Actually, I mean, okay... I guess the female half of Dorman does kind of sound like the queen, but, you know, just to a untrained ear.
Yeah. That would be cool, though, if it was the same voice.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He's one of the few characters in video games that has 2 voice actors credited.
Also, this is a small thing, but I really like the way they did the credits for the remaster, where they have the original credits on the right-hand side and just put, like, the Blue Point Games credits on the left.
Nice.
Looking at you, Microsoft.
Yeah, they don't, like, lengthen the credits like, you know, like the Xbox Live port of Banjo-Kazooie, where they have to additionally credit all the Microsoft people, and it just goes
where
on
the credit
and
sequence
on.
loops, like, 3 times to get through all the Microsoft people.
Uh-huh. Not that they shouldn't be credited, of course, but, you know, it just kind of messes with the original presentation.
This is why I didn't do the credits in Halo, because they would have been 45 minutes
Too long.
Even if I sped them up, they would have been long.
Didn't you say they were going to be like 20 minutes or something? Like a full episode in themselves?
Yeah.
Dude, when we get to Sonic Colors, we are going to have an all-credits episode.
Oh, does it
The credits in that game are literally like 15 minutes long.
Jesus.
Anywho.
That's the end of Eco.
Or is it? If there's anything you've learned from the MCU, it's always stick around for the post-credits stinger.
Yeah,
All right.
Samuel L. Jackson is going to come and recruit Eco to the Avengers.
But he's going to be wearing, like, that poncho that Eco has.
That's his disguise.
He has horns.
God, that just looks painful to have your horns broke like that. Jeez.
Yeah. Especially because like it
there's-
bleeds for like there's obviously like blood vessels and nerves and stuff in them.
Yeah.
It's like it feels to me like breaking a tooth or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
But hey, we made it to land by the looks of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a beach episode in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends on the beach episode. That's how you know Eco is a classy anime.
In New Game Plus, we get the hot spring episode.
Yeah.
Also, we just got done with the recap episode.
Oh god.
That's where that's where Eco turns into a Japanese macaque and lives in the mountains.
Yeah. Also, to talk about Shadow of the Colossus unnecessarily one more time, you can actually go to an area that resembles this beach in that game, in like the southwest
Oh,
corner.
yeah.
So
Neat
it looks,
little inclusion.
so it looks exactly like this beach.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
You know, taking into account that game's like advancements and
Yeah.
graphics
I
and
bet
everything.
there's a bunch of coins you can get out there in the
Sure
new
there
version.
are.
That's how you unlock some of the new weapons in the new
Yeah.
one. Is by getting the coins.
I don't know. That just seems like, you know, we were talking earlier about how the Queen part feels like more video gamey, but like it doesn't go too far. I really don't like that they put like coins as a collectible in the remake. Like
Yeah.
it just seems like antithetical to like the point of these games, which is just kind of to have like this emotional experience.
Speaking of
It's like,
emotional
no, people
experience,
Yeah.
that we're talking right over.
Yeah. It looks like we might have gotten our happy ending after all,
Yeah.
inexplicably.
You saw me when I was playing through the game, and I was just like, I was just so sad through the credits, like, no, Yorda. And I got to the beach, and I'm like, oh, all right, well, there's more game, but I mean, it's not the same without Yorda, but I guess I'll keep going. And then
So I guess
I know you were waiting for it, and then I got like to a certain part of the beach, and I'm like, wait, what's that in the distance? Wait, is it? Hold the phone. And I was just like sprinting over to it.
So I guess evil curses are allergic to seawater.
I mean, who's to say? Honestly, I don't know if I believe that they both survived.
Yeah. There's one
because-
theory that, well, I guess you'll talk about it.
Well, it's not even really a theory. It's just like ending interpretation. Because again, there's nothing that clearly says like
Yeah.
they lived or they died. It's just like because again, I mentioned in an earlier part that we see Eco getting like smashed into stone like dozens of times. Okay, not dozens of times, but several times throughout this game, and he just like wakes up and he's fine. But that would kill a normal person, like what the Queen did to him. So, one interpretation of the ending that isn't like, oh, she somehow magically survived and now they can like live freely and be together, is that, Eco actually died there, and Yorda's spirit, she wasn't rescuing him from the castle. She was just kind of giving him like a funeral, like a Viking funeral or whatever in the boat. And him waking up on the beach and finding her is them, like, in the afterlife being together. But, like, one way or the other, like, they do get to continue their friendship, but whether or not they live or die is kind of, well, it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think they're alive.
Well, it's your choice. I mean, I don't know what my choice is. I just know
Also,
that...
I see you didn't get the special watermelon ending.
Yeah, that's another New Game Plus thing. If you beat the game on New Game Plus, there are watermelons you can carry up the beach for an additional little scene where Eco and Yorda have a wonderful little watermelon picnic together. So check that out.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite as endearing to a character as to actually getting to see them eat. Like,
Yeah.
and that the
Well,
reason?
yeah. It's just nice to see them like kind of getting a break after everything they've been through.
nice
Even
to
if you
get,
do have
like,
to
a
play through the
happy
entire
ending.
game twice. Yeah.
Just like a nice picnic.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that why Brad Pitt eats, like, is seen eating in a lot of movies that he's in, just to, like, humanize his characters? So, like, the monkey part of your brain is like, oh, he's eating. I can get with that.
Yeah,
I
that makes
understand
sense. I've never heard... Well, actually, I think I have heard of that. Anywho, regardless, so final thoughts on Eco now that we've talked like long after the game is over.
It's real good. One of my favorites. It's just like... It's just a story, or it's just a game that really makes use of the medium in an interesting way. Does something that, like, almost no other games really do. And it's just kind of... I don't know, it has something that it has a story that it wants to tell, and it tells it. And it's just, like, really... Anything with characters as endearing as the Orda and Eco is pretty much automatically going to be a win for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with how, like, minimalistic the storytelling is. Like, it is... I cannot state it enough how impressive it is that they do such a good job of endearing you to those kids.
I still can't believe this is an early PS2 game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that blows my mind. Like, they really knew what to do with that machine.
I mean, I'd point out Eco as a masterclass in, like, doing a lot with a little.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need fancy cutscenes and, like, big name actors and all that to really, like, to make something great that people can really, like, appreciate on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or even a lot of cutscenes. Like, you just need to know, like, what beats to hit and how to hit them most effectively.
Sometimes you just need something as simple as, like, you know, another character to hold your hand through the experience and to get along with.
Yeah. It's, Ueda and his team, like, clearly clapped.
They clapped when they finished. They were so proud of themselves.
They clapped for themselves. And you know what? I'm not going to fault them because Eco, as Dan said, it is one of my all-time favorite games. I kind of wish it didn't get so overshadowed. I mean, I love Shadow of the Colossus. I think it's... I know, I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. But that game is fantastic in its own right. I honestly might say that I like it better than Eco. Just because that was my introduction to like this studio and this like type of game. But at the same time, I do feel kind of, you know, a little bit salty that Eco is kind of, you know, it's just like swept under the rug in comparison to like its more successful younger brother.
Well, Eco is Shadow of the Colossus is definitely a more fun experience, and like,
it's more of a game.
More of a game. But Eco is just, I don't know. It's like very much its own kind of thing. That there's not really anything quite like it.
Yeah, and it's not for everybody, but it's all, I don't know. Part of me kind of was when they announced the remake of Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 a couple of years back. I was kind of like, what about Eco?
Yeah,
like nobody's played Eco. Why are you remaking the one that people already like? But yeah, it just, like Dan said, Eco is like the textbook example of a game that does a lot with a little, just in terms of, I mean, obviously that's selling it short because it's, you know, it's absolutely beautiful and intricate in its art design, its level design, consistency, you know, across its world. Like it's had to have been one of the most like meticulously crafted games like up until that point. And you could do that because the game is just about like one boy and one girl escaping from one big castle.
It's focused.
Yeah, focused. It's laser focused on, you know, this idea of companionship that that Fumito Ueda wanted to impress on people and explore with this game. And I am obviously very glad that he did because Eco is a masterpiece.
It's pretty much exactly what people are talking about when they talk about games as art or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that is something that you kind of like, of course video games are art. Like, you know, they just are. Like, definitionally, they are works of art. But
they are creation.
I think that's just more... It's more like... What am I trying to say? They convey that in this game in a more straightforward manner, where it is like less about like, you know, like just killing time and like enjoying yourself until your inevitable death, and more about like here's an idea that we want to explore through the medium of video games.
Yeah.
What if we made a game about a kid trying to escape from a castle, but he had horns, and he couldn't talk to his companion? That's compelling.
It's all about friendship in the end.
Yeah.
And speaking of games about friendship,
Oh no.
we're jumping right from one into another, because if you couldn't guess by the massive amount of shameless foreshadowing we've done over the last few episodes, our next game is the original Kingdom Hearts. Final Fantasy.
As played by Trey.
The original, not original Kingdom Hearts.
Which I am very interested to talk about that game in contrast to this one, because they both, I am now realizing, have a similar theme of like companionship, but they explore it in completely different and, totally valid ways.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to kind of comparing and contrasting the two.
Yeah.
And the different approaches, because they are like night and day in how they approach this one thing. But anyway, if you've made it to the end of this playthrough, as I always say, thank you so much for sticking it out with us. We've had a great time doing this, at least I have. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in Kingdom Hearts.
And GearCheckGames' challenge for you today is to hold the hand of somebody you love or like, and just appreciate how nice it is.
But not in like a creepy sort of way.
Yeah.
Probably should ask them first.
I need that on a t-shirt. If somebody doesn't ask you before they hold your hand, that's no good.